They were not that time talking of the Greek Empire. It was Macedonia as a kingdom, a small village. It is Alexander who expanded that to be the Greek Empire, bigger than what he inherited from his father. Now, but the important thing is, those days, we didn't have formal schools. So the children of the noble, the people who had money, now were trained by the philosophers of those days. So Alexander was educated by people like Aristotle and the great philosophers of the day. Diogenes now was the son of the chief revenue collector of the Macedonian Empire. Now the way you talk of Jiraimi, that kind of a position. The son of the chief revenue collector. So the chief revenue collector was also an influential person, rich person. So Alexander and Diogenes were taught in the same class by the same philosophers. So they knew one another very well. Alexander went on to become the king of Macedonia, the emperor. He expanded that to Greece. Diogenes went on to become a philosopher who abandoned everything else after his father was jailed. Now his father made counterfeit money. Now the king did not forgive him, so he jailed him. Now that made Diogenes now to rebel against society. So he became a philosopher, living a desolate life in some caves there, and not doing the ordinary things that we do. And one day when Alexander had come now from his conquest of Asia, now he remembered, now he's in Macedonia, he remembered his old friend Diogenes, living in the cave. And he said, I will go now to see my friend. So he goes to the cave. Now they find Diogenes is sitting outside the cave there. It's an early morning. Yeah, sitting there, alone. Now thinking, and nobody knows what he's thinking, but of course the philosophers of those days documented. And that's why we know the work of Diogenes. And Alexander is accompanied by his generals, the senior security people. So they stand there in front of him. The guy is sitting outside the cave. And he does not greet them. He does not greet them, he just looks at them. Alexander, being the king, now decides to speak first. So he asks him, my old friend Diogenes, is there anything I can do for you? Now you can imagine, put yourself in the situation whereby you went to school with the president. Life has battered you. Huh? Life has battered you. Now you have no front, you have no backward, and now you are just there. Huh? You are there, a desolate person living in the cave there. And now the president, your friend, has come back to you, and he asked you, is there anything I can do for you? What would you tell him? Yeah? Engineer.
You will not talk.
Sorry?
Since you refuse to greet them,
Yes.
I think it's safer just to keep quiet. So that if he has anything to offer, or she has anything to offer.
Is there anything I can do for you, my old friend? Now the Diogenes looks up at Alexander. You know all that time Alexander has come. Now the guy did not even change his gaze. Now he's looking where he was looking. Now he does not change his gaze to look at these people. So Diogenes looks up at his friend and he says yes. Alexander asks him what? And he tells him, now stand on the other side, you are blocking the sun. Stand on the other side, you are blocking the sun. Diogenes had come out of the cave to bask. Now the king is here asking him, what can I do for you? Stand on the other side. Now the generals are angry with Diogenes. How can you insult our king? And they wanted the king to give him permission to arrest this guy and go and beat him up and throw him in the jail. And they are telling Alexander, how can this guy insult you, your majesty? Alexander tells them, if I was not Alexander, I would be Diogenes. Let us go. And they go. The moral of that, ladies and gentlemen, is any one of us now blocking the sun from shining on Warma so that Warma can prosper? You know yourself. And if you are the one blocking the sun from reaching Warma, now the honest and logical thing for you to do is to do what?
Pack up and leave.
That is the essence of that board. If you are the impediment in the governance process, now stand aside. And the government, in its wisdom, now has given the boards now that authority to tell the government stand aside. So if the boards fail, it is the boards that are failing. If management fail, it is management that has
Failed.
yeah. AOB.